Good evening. Energy and environmental issues are at the forefront of America's business and political agendas. And African Americans must seize the opportunity to help lead the necessary conversations. We are here today to engage in an open conversation on energy and why we as African Americans must be engaged in the process. The purpose for why we're here today is to focus on the real value that nuclear energy provides, both to the South Carolina environment and indeed our economy. The broader energy discussion will highlight job opportunities for our current and future workers in the nuclear energy field, as well as explore nuclear energy as a cost-efficient part of our country's energy portfolio. For those of you that are here today, this event seeks to bring together unlikely allies in support of nuclear energy and its economic and environmental opportunities. And as a consequence for communities of color, there is room in the marketplace of ideas and debate for the increased role of minorities in the future of nuclear energy, as both customers and providers and suppliers. Now, while it's important that energy policy is discussed on Capitol Hill, it is critically important that the impact of those policies are discussed in our own communities, given South Carolina's enormous nuclear capacity. And at a time when unemployment is at an all-time high for African Americans, and when major corporations are making significant reductions in force, nuclear energy is one of the fastest growing sectors that offers high-paying careers as well as tremendous opportunities for small businesses and business development. And it is with this sentiment that nuclear matters as we redefine our energy future. And so on behalf of the South Carolina African American Chamber of Commerce, I want to welcome you here today.
Well, I'd like to talk about how we're giving back to the community, but we have an opportunity to give back to the community because we operate our plants safely. Quite candidly, if we didn't have such a high priority on safety, then we'd be out of business and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I like to always start off by saying that we consider safety number one. We know that there are fears out there about nuclear, but for those of us that have been in the business for many, many years, we understand how it's managed. We understand how to make sure we do that, what behaviors need to be in place, how we need to manage our processes, the procedures, and things of that nature to ensure safety, because safety matters, and it matters most of all. Given the opportunity then to operate our plants safely, we also have an opportunity to engage the communities in what we do. And we do an awful lot with the schools, as you pointed out. We get involved with folks there in Fairfield County. JR is the superintendent there. We've got some really, really neat programs, I think, that are starting to get kids engaged in our industry very, very early. From an African-American standpoint, African-Americans are underrepresented in our industry, and that shouldn't be. I grew up in Fairfield County, 2 miles away from our plant. When we were building that plant, I went there and got a summer job, and subsequently went to the University of South Carolina and got an intern job through SCE&G to work at the plant. Once I graduated, I came on board full time, and I've been there now for 34 and a half years. But I was not recruited. I just kind of showed up at the front door because I was close by. But our industry recognizes the fact that we typically only expose ourselves to those folks that show up at our front door. Perhaps they have degrees, perhaps they've done those things educationally that have put them in a position to be successful and to be qualified to come into our industry, because qualifications do matter. But we're trying to do more than that today. We're trying to start early with kids, get those kids in the pipeline, because from a diversity standpoint, if we don't do that, then we won't have enough people that we can hire to optimally represent our industry from a minority point of view. So we believe that giving back is very, very important. We know that we have to demonstrate performance, we have to demonstrate safety in order for folks to listen. But given the opportunity to do that and be successful with that, I think we've also been successful in engaging schools, engaging colleges. We have a lot of relationships with colleges there out of SCE&G, out of our efforts there in Fairfield County. And I'll let the JR speak to those things that we're doing that are tangible, that are making a difference with young people. I think it's important to recognize that diversity in our fuel supply and our generation is also good. You know now that there are a lot of regulations associated with coal. And coal is being adversely challenged because of those regulations. In fact, some utilities, including ours, has decided to shut down some of their coal plants because it's not cost effective to keep those plants online, and cost matters. Cost matters to our customers, and we recognize that. You know, what nuclear does for us is it gives us another element of fuel in our mix. We're going to need gas, we're going to need coal, but we're also going to need nuclear. So based on cost, it gives us an option in terms of what we dispatch to our customers to optimize the price to the customer and keep that price in a band that's acceptable to our customers. But from a generation standpoint, compared to gas and coal, nuclear is very, very competitive. Very, very competitive. Our prices, uranium prices, are fairly stable compared to gas. Everybody knows today that gas is very, very economical and very in surplus in this country currently. But we can't guarantee that's going to continue. You know, we've seen low prices for gas, natural gas in the past, and then we've also seen in the past very high prices for natural gas. And our customers can't afford those high prices when those prices fluctuate like they sometimes do. So nuclear gives us an element of stability in our pricing. It also gives us diversity in our generation dispatch. And that's why it's really, really important to us. Also, nuclear provides 20% of the energy in this country. And if we did not have nuclear, then how are we going to make up for that 20%? And we do have some plants that eventually their license will expire. We'll have to possibly take those plants offline. So we'll have to build new plants in new generation in order to maintain that diversity of supply for the country, that 20%. So nuclear does help with the cost. And from a fuel cost standpoint, incredibly competitive when we talk about lower cost fuel like gas.